Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar where we will be looking at uh, what is the great place to work for all methodology and also what is the criteria when it comes to getting certified and getting recognized. I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Rohit Pimpley and I currently head the Western region at Great Place to Work. What we'll do today is we'll look at the whole framework of Great Place to Work and what do we really say when we say that an organization is a great place to work? What do we really mean when we call an organization as a great place to work certified organization? And we'll get into the details of how we end up assessing organizations and eventually recognizing them. So I will put up my screen very shortly and I will take you all through the methodology and the criteria. Yeah, I have started sharing my screen. I think let's go, right? So what do we do? What's Great Place to Work? What is the organization into? So Great Place to Work is a leading global research and consulting organization. And we are a mission-led organization where it is our mission to build a better world by helping organizations become great places to work for all. Just a bit of background, it's been 30 plus years for us now globally. And we have surveyed the world. And some stats, we've actually surveyed more than 10 million employees. And we have worked with close to 10,000 odd organizations. We are currently surveying organizations in more than 90 countries. And our surveys are available in 92 different languages. While globally, it is our mission to help build a better world by creating great workplaces. In India, it is our vision to make India a great place to work. Simply, it is our vision to work with as many organizations as possible and create impact in every nook and corner of the country. Primarily, we will be looking at two things today. One is the whole framework that is currently being adopted by Great Place to Work when we assess or work with any organization. And we'll also look at when it comes to getting certified as a great place to work or even being recognized as one of the best workplaces in the country, either in a particular industry or for a particular headcount. What are some criteria that we look at? So these will be the two primary objectives that we will be aiming to achieve at the end of the session. I will take you through the definition of great place to work. What really is a great place to work for all? What do we mean when we say an organization is a great place to work, certified organization? Simply put, the one-liner definition of a great place to work is the one which maximizes human potential, which means that an organization which is able to help each and every employee be the absolute best versions of themselves, ensure that they make their employees fully belong, is what a great place to work does when it maximizes human potential. Now, how does an organization maximize human potential? By building a culture of trust. So trust is at the heart, and effective leadership and meaningful values are two means through which a culture of trust is created, which in turn helps organizations maximize their human potential. Now, over the years, our research has told us that organizations which are able to do this effectively have seen improved innovation and also financial growth. When we say it's a great place to work for all, it is a great place to work for all the employees, irrespective of their backgrounds, irrespective of their age, their gender. When an organization is creating a great culture, they are creating it for all their people and not only for a specific set of people. So that is the fundamental definition of what a great place to work for all is. Now, what do we really say when we what do we really do when we say that we are going to assess a particular organization? We look at two lenses. The first lens is the employee experience at the workplace, which means on a day-to-day, when an employee is working in an organization, what are some aspects which are affecting their experience? What are some things which are working well for them? What are some things which the organization still has the opportunity to improve, to enhance the culture of their employees? So the first lens of our framework looks at the employee experience at the workplace. And the methodology is such that employee is at the center, and the three key relationship that any employee faces in the organization today is what we aim to measure through a survey that we conduct. Now, our survey looks at three relationships for any employee. The first one being the relationship of an employee with the management of the organization. When we say management of the organization, we are essentially trying to understand three things. The first thing is credibility of the management. How does the employee, or what does the employee think about the management of the organization? How does the employee perceive the management team of the organization? And through credibility, we aim at measuring one, whether communication flows effectively from top, two, whether important information is shared on time, whether leaders are competent and they have clarity of vision in terms of where they want to take the organization forward, whether leaders are reliable, and do leaders demonstrate ethical behavior in the organization. So credibility is all about how employees perceive the management and the leadership team of organizations. Respect is, through our framework, respect is all about whether the organization cares for the professional growth of the employees as well as for the well-being of employees. So respect has aspects of how the organization is trying to train, develop their employees. And it also has elements of how in today's day and age, our organizations trying to ensure that employee well-being is given importance and given enough due consideration. So respect also talks about how does the organization collaborate with its people. So does the organization involve people enough in the decision-making process? And does the organization seek inputs and suggestions from its people? Fairness is the third element through which we measure the relationship between an employee and the organization. And fairness, one of the elements of fairness is whether employees feel that the organization is transparent and fair when it comes to the various practices and processes that they have in place. It could be related to whether they feel that they are being compensated fairly enough for the work they do. It could be around whether they feel that the promotion policy is objective enough. It could be around whether at the end of the performance management process, they are fully satisfied and they are fully clear on why certain decisions have been taken. Another element of fairness is also about how do we ensure that we treat our people in a way which is not discriminatory of whatever backgrounds, genders, sexual orientation they belong to, right? One of the elements and the most critical ones in fairness is also about if employees have grievance on any particular aspect, does the organization have a platform in place through which these grievances can be addressed? So credibility, respect, and fairness are the three most critical pillars through which we aim at understanding what kind of experience does an employee have and what kind of a relationship that an employee has with the management of the organization. The second key relationship that the Great Place to Work employee experience framework aims at measuring is the relationship of an employee with colleagues and peers. So camaraderie is one, understanding whether there is a cooperative work environment within the organization and all colleagues and peers really care about each other. But camaraderie is also a lens through which we try and measure if the organization in general is one where employees can have fun. There are celebrations throughout the year, and employees can really be themselves. The last relationship that we aim at measuring through the survey is the relationship of an employee with the work they do. And this relationship is measured by understanding whether employees feel proud to be associated with the corporate brand that they are representing, or also in the work that they do on a day-to-day basis. Do they really feel proud about telling others that they work for this organization? So by and large, the Great Place to Work employee experience framework covers almost all the aspects that an employee would face in their cycle from the moment they join till the moment they exit, and also perhaps later become an alumnus of the organization. So the framework, because it's comprehensive in nature, has a lot of specific data points across which we measure experience. And we also try to understand what qualitative inputs do people have when it comes to their experience. So this is what the Great Place to Work employee experience framework aims at measuring. And this is the first lens of the framework that we deploy when we assess any organization which works with us. The second lens of the framework is what we call as the culture audit. And if employee experience is something that is being felt by our people on the ground or felt by employees on the ground, what is it that is impacting the employee experience, right? So if employee experience is the outcome, what is impacting these outcomes? And that is nothing but people practices that currently exist in the organization. And the culture audit is something that aims at understanding how is an organization trying to impact the on-ground experience of its people. The Great Place to Work methodology looks at culture audit through 5 different lenses. These are the 5 exact questions through which we try and aim at understanding currently what is an organization doing in order to enhance or in order to ensure that the employee experience is great on ground. So trust, maximizing human potential, values, leadership, effectiveness, and innovation by all are the areas which you would recall are from the Great Place to Work for All framework that we covered at the start. And through the culture audit submission, we try to understand across each of the areas what is an organization today trying to do to make an impact. If we dive slightly deeper into these areas, trust, for example, is all about, and the questions are pretty straightforward in the sense for any organization, the same questions are asked. What key qualities makes your organization a great place to work, right? And how do you create a unique environment? Now, for any organization, basis the industry that they belong to and basis the cohort of people that they have, they would have different ways in which they are trying to create a culture of trust. And these different initiatives is what Great Place to Work aims at understanding. And that is what we seek from the organization as an online submission as a part of the culture audit. Maximizing human potential is Great Place to Work wanting to understand how does an organization ensure, regardless of who their people are or what they do, is a full member of the organization and they can reach their highest potential. Right? Because maximizing human potential is what we've seen best workplaces being able to do. And that fundamentally is also the definition of what it takes to create a great place to work. So maximizing human potential is where, how does an organization ensure that employees maybe belonging to different generations or employees with unique skill sets, how are they all made to belong in the organization, and how does the organization ensure that they are treated as a full member and their unique skills and potential is leveraged. So that is where under maximizing human potential, we try to understand all the initiatives that you may have around ensuring that there are processes in place that ensures everything is done in an equitable manner. There are processes in place through which you develop your people, and there are processes through which you build capability within the organization. So trust and maximizing human potential are two such areas across which we seek online submission. The other three areas in the culture audit are around values, leadership effectiveness, and innovation. Largely self-explanatory. When it comes to values, we want to know as an organization what your values or guiding principles are, and simply not just what your values are, but how did you arrive at such those values, and how do you see examples of these values being demonstrated in a day-to-day. So that is where we try to seek an understanding of all the practices that you have around values. Leadership effectiveness is where we try to understand that how is information flowing from the top, how is the organization ensuring that whatever strategic decisions are being taken, people are involved in those decisions, right? Leadership effectiveness also tries to understand if the organization is taking certain decisions which have to be communicated very effectively to the last mile. How are those decisions cascaded down? Last but not the least is where innovation by all is what we try to understand. And innovation by all simply is wanting great place to work, wanting to understand how is an organization creating and encouraging people to think differently, innovate, think creatively, and the organization providing enough forums and platforms to these people so that they are motivated and encouraged to share new and different ideas. So the culture audit, which is the second lens through which Great Place to Work assesses any organization, is where we try to understand what key initiatives do you have across these 5 areas, and how do you see them playing a role in impacting the ultimate goal, which is employee experience for our people. So these are the two lenses that we look at, and this is fundamentally the framework that Great Place to Work has been or is currently using when it assesses any organization. Then we come to the second part of the webinar, where we try to understand what is the criteria for an organization to be certified and to be recognized in any of the lists that we roll out during the course of the year. Now, as called out earlier, to be certified as a great place to work, we survey employees of the organization, and we expect the organization to get a score of at least 70% in the survey. And this is the criteria that we look at when we certify any organization. Now, as a part of the certification process, we also go out and seek some sort of objective information from the respective SPOCs or project teams of the organizations that we're working with, which is called as the culture brief. So there's a lot of information around the culture brief which has to be submitted to us, which we seek from various organizations. The criteria to get certified continues to be on the employee survey. And any organization which gets a minimum of 70% score in the survey is certified as a great place to work certified organization. Now, the certification in itself is valid for a period of 13 months. And organizations renew their certification year on year, because while getting certified, of course, presents an organization with an opportunity to talk about or to tell the world why are they great place to work certified, but it also serves as a platform through which they keep seeking employee feedback and employee inputs throughout the year. So this is the criteria for certification, and Great Place to Work in India works across organizations with various headcounts. And for all the organizations, the certification criteria continues to remain what we currently see on the screen. The second piece, the second platform for recognition or for organizations to get further recognized is what we call as the various ranking lists that we publish. We'll talk about that slightly later, but the criteria for an organization to be ranked in the various flagship lists that we have, in the flagship lists and the other lists that we have, is that the employee survey is given a 75% weightage. 25% weightage is given to the culture audit, which is nothing but those people practices that you submit to us online across the 5 areas that we covered a couple of moments ago. We also look at some consideration is also given to the size of the organization, as well as how consistently our employees experiencing the culture across various demographic groups. And this is actually the essence of when we say that an organization is creating a great place to work for all. We want to see how is an organization trying to ensure that people belonging to different tenures, employees belonging to different age groups, employees belonging to different genders, all of them are experiencing a consistent culture. So this is what we also look at when we rank an organization in the various lists that we publish throughout the year. The reputation of the organization is also considered. So some of these aspects are looked at by Great Place to Work before we end up shortlisting any company as one of the best workplaces, either across various industries or in a particular industry or a subcategory. To name a few lists, so this is the annual calendar. And as you would see, we have lists across various industries like manufacturing, IT, retail, BFSI. And the flagship list that we have, which is where we recognize 100 best companies across various industries, is the one that we announced in June. And just to reiterate, for any organization to be featured in this list, 75% weightage is given to the survey scores and 25% weightage is given to the culture audit. An overview of how the process sort of progresses once an organization is onboarded with us is the employee survey is active for a period of 14 days. And the survey slot can be selected by organizations as per their convenience. The culture brief, which is where we try to seek some quantitative information, some objective data from the organization, has to be submitted before the survey is launched. Now, parallelly, what we also seek from organizations is information on the culture audit. The culture audit through which we aim at measuring what initiatives do you have through which you're trying to impact the employee experience on ground is what we also, we give up to 30 days for an organization to submit those to us. This is done online. You get certified basis your trust index survey score. Of course, we take some time to validate the data that we get from the survey. And we take up to 3 weeks to validate that data. And 3 weeks after the survey is done, we would end up announcing the certification results to the organization. What you also get as an outcome of this entire process, depending on the scope that you have agreed and signed up for, is actionable research insights and some of the reports that we share with you. But there are, of course, various types of reports available, and it all depends on what scope you sign up for and what your objectives are in associating with us. We, of course, because of our experience of working with so many organizations over a period of time, we've been able to collate best practices and some initiatives that are working well for certain organizations. So depending on whichever reports, whatever scope you sign up for, you get to see those kind of insights as an outcome of this process. So that is the criteria for recognition, and this is how the process works out for any organization which wants to participate with us. Just one information is around organizations which have under 100 employees. For organizations with under 100 employees, the certification is what we currently offer. The various ranking lists which we publish is only for organizations which has more than 100 employees. So that is how we then make various lists available to them to participate in, including either industry lists that you saw on BFSI, manufacturing, IT, or even some other sub industries which you didn't see as a part of the slide that I had put up. But we also do end up recognizing, for example, we have best workplaces in media, best workplaces in real estate, construction, and infrastructure. So depending on what the number of industries which are being represented, the number of companies representing certain industries in a given year, a great place to work would then accordingly award or recognize you in those lists. Right. So that's it from my side. But if you all have any questions, if you all have any concerns that you all want to clarify, then you can drop us an email. I think on the chat box, we will possibly share with you the email ID on which you can share the questions to us, and we will come back to you with our responses. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining, and you all have a good day ahead.